Alright, so covalent bonds, there's covalent bonds, ionic bonds, and metallic bonds that you're going to have to differentiate by the end of the semester. So, covalent bonds are when electrons are shared. So covalent bonds are sharing electrons. You ever heard people say sharing is caring? Well, that little statement can help you remember this because sharing is covalent or caring. Starts with the C too. So that will help you to kind of differentiate from ionic and metallic when we get there. But sharing is caring, sharing is covalent. They both start with the C. And that we're going to show that with the Lewis structures, thinking about the octet rule later on. Covalent bonds are bonds between nonmetals, nonmetal to nonmetal bonds. Okay. So let's look at a bond between two nonmetals, and we'll go ahead and start with a diatomic atom, just to kind of throw that word out there again for practice. First of all, what element is that? Bromine. Okay, so when we look on our periodic table and we find bromine number 35, how many valence electrons does bromine have? 7. Alright, so we know that we have bromine. How many atoms of bromine do we have here? 2. So that means we're going to need 2 of them. And you guys just said bromine has 7 valence electrons. So we're going to start seating our electrons. We're going to say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We have to do the same for the other one. You might notice that I'm going to direct my lonely electron. You can do that if you want to, but you don't have to. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So when I look at bromine, I can see that it has 1 lonely electron for each of those bromine atoms. What happens in a covalent bond between these nonmetals is that these electrons are going to be shared. And that's where the bond is going to happen. So if we rewrite that a little bit closer together, bromine has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then this bromine has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. What we can notice is that this bromine is going to have these electrons flying around it. So let's count those. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. What do we know about bromine's outside energy level now? Well, let's rewind. It's full. How many electrons does bromine want to have in its outer shell? 8. It wants to have 8. And so this lonely electron right here needs a buddy. Same thing over here. Because, when we think about it in chemistry terms, the octet, the outside is not full. There's not 8 electrons on the outer energy level, on the outer ring. But when we share, now this atom of bromine has 8, and if we look at the bonded atom here, we can count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So both of these atoms now have 8 in their outer shell. This right here is a covalent bond. Okay. And so we would write that out and show our pairs. A thumbs up if that makes perfect sense, and a thumbs down if you're still lost in the woods somewhere. Alright, sideways, got some sideways, so let's do some more examples. Okay. Alright, let's look at okay, so let's break it down just a little bit. How many hydrogen atoms do I have here? Just one. Okay, good. What is this? We have hydrogen and chlorine. Okay, good. So we need a chlorine. We're going to go back to our periodic table and look at hydrogen. Hydrogen's right here. So what group is it in? 1. Hydrogen is a gas. Even though it's on the metal side of the periodic table, hydrogen is a gas. It's kind of the outcast of its family, because these guys are metals. Hydrogen is a gas. It has 1 valence electron. So we come and we do its Lewis structure. 1 valence electron. Chlorine is right here. What group, how many valence electrons does it have? 7. So it's really close to being a full octet. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay. So we're going to find those lonely electrons. Right here's a lonely electron. Right here's a lonely electron. And they're going to connect. They make a bond. They have a partnership. And so we would write that. This is kind of the messy version. We would clean that up. Like that. When we write this neatly, what is on either end of this line right here? An electron, right? I heard somebody say that. An electron. So these electrons are represented on either end of that bond line. Alright, let's digest this just a little bit. If I look at hydrogen, and I do that same thing, I include the electrons that are shared with it. It only has 2. Why is it happy? The first energy level only has 2 electrons. Alright, and then we look at chlorine. Stick it in here. Chlorine, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. we look at what it has. One, two, three, four, five, six, seven, 8. So chlorine has 8 outer electrons. Full octet, that's the word we use. Found some. Let's do another, a little more complicated example, and then we'll check in and see how we feel about it. There you go. What element is that? Okay, nitrogen. How many nitrogens do I have? 2. Good. How many valence electrons does nitrogen have? Good, I'm seeing some. We look at nitrogen. We go up to its column, it's number 5. So it has 5 outer electrons. So we're gonna go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, gotta make note. How many lonely electrons does nitrogen have? 3. So then we're going to connect them. They each want to have their own buddy. Alright, so that's kind of the messy version. We're going to clean that up. How many lines are between these 2 nitrogens? Right, 1, 2, 3. So we're going to draw 1, 2, 3. Now when you're looking at that, is that a single bond, a double bond, or a triple bond? Absolutely. So then what would we call this bond up here with H and CO, with HCl? That is a single bond, right? Alright. Okay, let's do a little different structure. These have all been kind of in straight lines. Okay. We'll do, let's just do. Okay, first of all, what elements are there? Carbon and hydrogen. So we have, how many carbons do I have? 1. All right, how many hydrogens do I have? 1, 2, 3, 4. All right. How many, so then we go with each atom. How many valence electrons does carbon have? It has 6 total electrons. So let's break that down. If we look at carbon, it has 4 valence electrons. Carbon's first ring can have 2 electrons. Carbon's second ring, because there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So it has 4 on the outside. 1, 2, 3, 4. How many valence electrons does hydrogen have? Just 1. Hydrogen's kind of easy because it has 1 on the outside and 1 total. Okay. So as we look at it, carbon has these 4 lonelies. They don't have anybody sitting next to them. Hydrogen's electron is always lonely. It always wants to find a buddy. And one kind of tip or hint for this kind of molecule is that carbon is normally, we'll just write it that way, the central atom. So it's in the middle. It's in the center. So if we think about that, we're going to connect carbon to everything else. And that makes sense because if I connect these two hydrogens together, are they capable of connecting to any other atom? No, because they don't have any more lonely electrons. So if we want this to all be one molecule, as it says, as it's sitting there, then we're going to connect the lonely electron of hydrogen to carbon. The lonely electron of hydrogen to carbon. And continue that pattern. The lonely electron of hydrogen to carbon. Now that's pretty messy. But you can see from each lonely carbon electron, we have something bonded to it. So when we draw that structure, we're going to have this. Okay. And that kind of tells us a little bit about the shape that we have. Alright, give me a thumbs up if that makes sense. You're good. Alright, that's most people. Let's try, I want you to try this one and I'll come around and check it, okay? Try that one.